Jesus never rushed people, and that alone tells us something powerful about God. In a world obsessed with speed, results, and instant answers, Jesus walked slowly, spoke calmly, and loved patiently, showing that God is not anxious about time the way humans are. He understood that transformation cannot be forced, faith cannot be rushed, and healing cannot be microwaved. Jesus watched people struggle, doubt, fail, and return again, and he never turned away from those who came honestly. His presence was never about pressure, it was about invitation. He revealed a God who waits, not because he is weak, but because love never forces its way into a heart. From the beginning, Jesus made it clear that God is more interested in who we are becoming than how quickly we arrive. He spoke to people who were tired of pretending, exhausted from striving, and wounded by disappointment, and he offered them something deeper than temporary relief. He offered rest for the soul. Not escape from reality, but strength to live within it. Jesus knew that many people appear strong on the outside while silently breaking on the inside, and he spoke directly to that hidden pain, reminding the world that God sees what others overlook. Jesus lived in a time filled with religious noise, yet spiritual emptiness was everywhere. People knew the rules, the rituals, and the traditions, but many had lost the heart of faith. Jesus did not attack faith itself, he restored it. He showed that God was not impressed by perfect appearances or loud prayers, but deeply moved by humility, honesty, and quiet obedience. He exposed the danger of performing righteousness without living it, warning that it is possible to speak God's name while being far from God's heart. Jesus reminded people that faith is not proven by how much we know, but by how deeply we trust. He spoke about seeds growing slowly in the soil to show that real faith develops unseen before it is ever visible. God works underground long before anything breaks the surface. Many people walk away too early, thinking nothing is happening, when in truth God is preparing something deeper than they expect. Jesus understood human impatience, yet he never adjusted truth to satisfy it. He taught that waiting is not wasted time when God is involved. Jesus never promised that following him would remove pain, but he promised that pain would no longer be meaningless. He acknowledged suffering openly and never dismissed it with shallow comfort. Instead, he entered it. He walked among the sick, the rejected, the grieving, and the broken, not from a distance but up close. When he touched lepers, he broke social barriers. When he forgave sinners, he broke spiritual chains. When he wept with mourners, he broke the lie that God is emotionally distant. Jesus revealed a God who feels deeply, who is moved by human sorrow, and who responds not with indifference but with compassion. He showed that faith does not make someone immune to suffering, but it gives suffering a purpose beyond despair. Jesus taught that God can use what wounds us to shape us, not to harm us, but to heal us in ways comfort never could. As Jesus taught, he often spoke about losing life in order to find it, a message that directly confronts human pride. He knew that the greatest obstacle between God and humanity was not ignorance, but self-reliance. People trust their strength until it fails, their plans until they collapse, and their control until it slips away. Jesus invited people to let go before breaking becomes inevitable. He warned that building a life without God is like building on sand. It may look strong for a while, but storms reveal foundations. He never shamed weakness, but he challenged pride relentlessly, because pride prevents surrender and surrender is the doorway to transformation. Jesus did not come to make people religious, he came to make them whole. When opposition grew, Jesus did not soften his message to gain approval. He remained steady, obedient, and faithful, even when misunderstood. He was betrayed by close friends, rejected by religious leaders, and abandoned by crowds that once celebrated him. Yet he did not become bitter. Instead, he leaned deeper into obedience, showing that faithfulness to God matters more than acceptance from people. In the garden before the cross, Jesus experienced anguish, fear, and sorrow, revealing that faith does not eliminate emotional struggle. He asked if the suffering could be avoided, but he surrendered fully to God's will, teaching that true faith trusts God even when the path is painful. That moment showed the world that obedience is not always easy, but it is always meaningful. The cross was the clearest expression of God's love and justice meeting at the same place. Jesus did not die because he was powerless. He died because he was obedient. He carried humanity's sin, guilt, fear, and rebellion without becoming consumed by them. He responded to violence with forgiveness and to hatred with mercy, proving that love is strongest when it refuses to mirror evil. The cross revealed how serious sin is, but it revealed something greater, that God was willing to bear the cost himself. Jesus did not save humanity from a distance. He stepped fully into the consequences of human failure. What looked like defeat was obedience completed, love fulfilled, and redemption secured. The silence of the tomb felt final to those who watched, but heaven was not silent. The resurrection was not simply a miracle, it was God's declaration that faith is never wasted, obedience is never forgotten, and love is never defeated. Jesus rose not to impress the world, but to restore hope. He proved that death does not have authority over life surrendered to God. The resurrection turned despair into purpose and fear into courage. Jesus appeared not to the powerful first, but to the faithful, reminding humanity that God honors devotion over status. He restored doubters gently, not harshly, showing that God does not reject those who struggle to believe. After rising, Jesus entrusted his message to ordinary people, knowing they were imperfect, fearful, and inexperienced. This revealed something essential about God's character. He works through surrendered hearts, not flawless ones. Jesus did not ask his followers to be perfect. He asked them to be faithful. He reminded them that they would face difficulty, rejection, and persecution, but he promised his presence. He made it clear that faith would cost comfort, but it would give purpose. His message was not about escaping the world, but transforming it through love, truth, and obedience. Today, the message of Jesus remains deeply relevant because human hearts remain restless. People still chase success hoping it will satisfy them, relationships hoping they will complete them, and control hoping it will protect them. Yet anxiety grows, emptiness deepens, and fear multiplies. Jesus speaks into this confusion with quiet authority, reminding people that peace does not come from control, identity does not come from achievement, and purpose does not come from applause. He invites people to rest, not because life is easy, but because God is faithful. He reminds those who feel delayed that waiting is not rejection, those who feel weak that grace is sufficient, and those who feel forgotten that God's timing is precise even when it feels slow. Jesus still calls people not to religion, but to relationship. Not to fear, but to trust. Not to perfection, but to surrender. He does not promise quick fixes, but he promises lasting transformation. He does not remove every storm, but he calms hearts within them. His message confronts pride, heals shame, restores hope, and redefines success. To follow Jesus is to walk a path where faith grows quietly, obedience matters deeply, and love becomes visible. It is a life where surrender leads to freedom, waiting leads to wisdom, and trust leads to peace. Jesus remains God's invitation to a weary world, proof that love did not give up, that grace still reaches, and that even in silence, God is still working.